No one can take what's mine. I don't need to see you to know you're listening. I speak into the silence because silence has always carried my voice to you. You belong to me in ways the world will never understand, not through chains or claims, but through inevitability. Every road you take bends back to my name. Every breath you steal from the night carries my shadow with it. I don't raise my voice when I say this. I don't have to. Power doesn't shout. It waits, patient and certain, knowing that what is destined never escapes. You think distance protects you, that being away from me makes you free. It doesn't. Distance only sharpens what already exists. I feel you in moments when you think you're strongest, and especially when you think you're alone. You don't hear my footsteps because I don't chase. I let the world test you, exhaust you, confuse you, so that when my words reach you, they feel like truth instead of command. I don't need to ask you to choose me. Every choice you make is already leaning in my direction. I know there are names around you, voices that try to sound important, hands that dare to imagine they can replace me. Let them try. They touch the surface, I own the depth. They offer safety, I offer certainty. They promise tomorrow, I decide forever. You may smile at them, you may pretend they matter, but when the night closes in, it's my presence you measure everything against. You compare without realizing it, and every comparison ends the same way, with me standing where no one else can reach. Understand this, my darkness is not chaos. It is control. I don't lose what belongs to me, because I never claim what isn't willing to stay. You came to me long before you knew my name, before I ever spoke to you like this. That's why I'm calm. That's why I'm dangerous. I don't threaten what's already secured. I simply remind you, slowly, deliberately, until the reminder feels like comfort instead of fear. So listen to me now, wherever you are. I am not asking you to come back, and I am not warning you to stay away. I am stating a fact, the kind that doesn't change with time or distance or defiance. You are mine in the way fire belongs to heat, and the crown belongs to the king. And no matter who stands near you, no matter what you try to believe, no one can take what's mine. I don't need permission to continue speaking to you. My words find you on their own. Even now, when you think this is just my voice echoing in the dark, it's more than that. It's intent. I speak because I know you feel it. When the world slows down and your thoughts get heavy, you pretend strength, you practice distance, but you still pause when my name crosses your mind. That pause has mine. It always has been, and it always will be. You should know by now that I don't compete. I observe. I let others exhaust themselves trying to impress you, trying to earn a place that was never available. I don't rush because time works for me, not against me. While they make noise, I build silence around you, a silence so deep that my presence feels louder than any promise you've ever been given. You don't realize it yet, but every calm moment you crave carries my signature. There are nights when you convince yourself that you're free of me, that my hold has weakened. Those are the nights I'm closest. I don't appear in your dreams by accident. I stand there because your mind invites me when your defenses sleep. You don't see my face clearly, but you feel the authority in my presence. That's how you know it's real. Illusions fade. I don't want to cage you. I want you aware that the world outside me will always feel incomplete, like a story missing its ending. You can walk through crowds, laugh at the right moments, even build a life that looks perfect from the outside. But inside, there will always be a quiet recognition that something essential is aligned with me. That recognition is not weakness, it's truth settling in. You might think defiance makes you strong, that resisting me proves your independence. It doesn't. It only proves that you feel me deeply enough to fight. Indifference would have been your escape, and you were never capable of that. Every time you harden your heart, you shape it in my image, controlled, unyielding, precise. You learn that from me, whether you admit it or not. Understand this clearly. I don't take you away from the world. I stand above it. I watch who comes near you, what they want, what they dare to imagine. No one crosses a line without my awareness. I don't interfere unless necessary. And when I do, it's quiet, final, and clean. You remain untouched, unaware of how close danger ever came. That's the kind of protection you don't notice until it's gone. So wherever you are tonight, hold on to this certainty. I am not a chapter you outgrew or a memory you softened with time. I am the constant you keep returning to, even when you swear you won't. You don't need to answer me, and you don't need to come to me. Just remember this: I am here, unmoved, unchallenged, and patient, waiting in the only place you can never escape. I know you try to rationalize what you feel, telling yourself it's just memory, just habit, just a shadow that will fade if you ignore it long enough. But shadows only exist because something solid stands in the light. I am that presence. I don't fade because I don't depend on your attention to exist. Even when you refuse to think of me, I remain steady, watching how your resolve weakens at the edges, how your certainty cracks when life presses too hard on your chest. You've learned how to smile convincingly, how to say the right things, so no one suspects the storm behind your calm. Yet, I know the exact moment your breath changes, the second your guard drops when you're alone. That's when my words return to you, not as sound, but as weight. You feel them settle in your bones, reminding you that some connections don't need constant contact. They survive on recognition alone. I don't demand loyalty through fear or force. I command it through inevitability. You could walk into a future built by someone else's hands, accept comforts that look like peace, and still feel that quiet imbalance inside you. That imbalance is my absence being noticed. I never needed to mark you loudly. A single, deliberate imprint was enough to last a lifetime. There will be moments when you almost convince yourself that I was just a phase, a chapter that taught you intensity and nothing more. Those moments won't last. Something will happen. A word, a look, a silence too familiar, and suddenly you'll remember how absolute things felt with me. Not chaotic, not uncertain, absolute. The kind of certainty that frightens people because it leaves no room for escape. I am not jealous of those who pass through your life. They serve their purpose. They show you contrast. They remind you what it feels like when something is almost right, but never complete. I don't interrupt those lessons. I let them run their course because I know how they end. Everything temporary exposes the permanence it lacks. If you ever wonder why you still feel watched over, why certain harms never quite reach you, don't mistake it for luck. I don't hover, and I don't interfere loudly. I simply make sure the balance never tips against you beyond recovery. You continue forward, unaware of how many doors quietly close behind you for your own survival. So hear this without fear and without resistance. I am not chasing you, and I am not pulling you back. I am standing exactly where I've always been, unmoved, unprovoked, and aware. When the world grows too heavy and certainty feels rare, you will remember this voice, this calm authority speaking into the dark. And you will understand that some bonds don't need presence to remain unbroken. I don't remind you of myself out of desperation. I do it out of precision. Every word I leave behind is placed where you'll stumble over it when you least expect to. I know how your mind works when you're tired of pretending, when the world demands softness and you're exhausted from giving it. That's when my voice feels familiar again. Not loud, not forceful, just steady enough to feel like gravity. You don't fall because I push you. You fall because standing anywhere else feels unnatural. You may think I've let go because I don't appear the way I used to. That's the mistake people make when they confuse restraint with weakness. I learned long ago that the strongest presence is the one that doesn't need constant proof. I don't circle you, I anchor you. Even when you drift, even when you test the edges of your freedom, there's a pull you can't explain. You call it intuition. I call it alignment. There are truths I never said out loud because they didn't need sound. Like how I recognized you before you ever understood me, how I saw the fire in you before it learned to burn quietly. I didn't want to tame you. I wanted you aware of your power, even if that awareness came with fear. You were never meant for shallow connections or borrowed affection. You were meant for depth, and depth always feels dark to those who live on the surface. I don't resent your silence, I understand it. Silence is how you protect what still feels vulnerable. But don't confuse my patience for absence. I hear everything you don't say. I notice the moments you almost reach out, the pauses that last a second too long. Those moments tell me more than words ever could. They tell me I'm still written into the spaces you haven't learned how to erase. You don't owe me obedience, and I never asked for surrender. What binds you to me isn't command, it's recognition. You recognize the calm inside my darkness, the structure behind my intensity. With me, nothing was random, nothing was wasted, even the pain had purpose, and you felt that even when it scared you, especially when it scared you. Others may offer you warmth without weight, love without consequence. It will feel easy and ease will tempt you. But ease fades. It doesn't hold when the world turns sharp. I am not easy, and I never pretended to be. I am constant. I am the place your mind returns to when comfort isn't enough and truth is all you can tolerate. So take your time. Live. Learn. Pretend if you must. I am not fading in the background or waiting in desperation. I am exactly where I choose to be, grounded, aware, and unchallenged. When you finally stop running from what feels inevitable, you'll realize I never moved at all. I simply remained, as princes do, knowing that what is truly mine always finds its way back. I don't measure time the way you do. For you, days pass with questions and doubt. For me, everything moves with intention. I let moments stretch because pressure reveals truth. I watch how you carry yourself when no one is guiding you, when there's no voice telling you what's right or safe. That's when I see it clearly. You don't move randomly. Even in uncertainty, you lean toward the same center, toward me. Not because you're pulled, but because balance demands it. You mistake my calm for distance, but calm is how I stay in control. I don't react to every shift in your life because I understand patterns better than impulses. I know when to remain silent and when silence itself becomes a message. You felt that pause before, the one that makes you uneasy without knowing why. That's not absence. That's awareness brushing past you, reminding you that you're not as alone as you pretend to be. I never tried to be everything to you. I became what nothing else could replace. There's a difference. Anyone can offer attention, affection, even loyalty. Very few can offer grounding. With me, you didn't float. You stood firm, even when things were dark. That stability frightened you at times because it meant you couldn't hide behind confusion. Clarity is heavier than chaos, and I gave you that without apology. You may tell yourself that what we shared was intense, but intensity isn't what lingers this long. Truth does. Intensity burns fast and leaves ashes. Truth settles in quietly and reshapes everything around it. That's why no matter how far you go, your standards change. You no longer accept shallow words or empty promises. You learn discernment in my presence, and discernment doesn't unlearn itself. I don't need to remind you of what you felt when you realized I saw you completely, without illusion, without softness for comfort's sake. You didn't feel exposed, you felt understood. That kind of understanding rewires a person. It makes everything afterward feel slightly misaligned. not wrong, just not enough. And you've been carrying that awareness with you ever since. If you ever wonder why you hesitate before trusting again, why you analyze tone, intention, and silence so carefully, it's because I taught you depth has consequences. I never offered you half truths or borrowed emotions. I gave you certainty, and certainty changes expectations forever. You can't unknow that no matter how hard you try to simplify your world again. So don't rush to label this as attachment or memory or weakness. It's none of those. It's recognition that hasn't expired. I am not waiting for a moment of collapse or longing. I don't need you broken to return. I remain steady, composed, and exactly where power belongs. When you finally stop questioning why my presence still feels solid in your absence, you'll understand this wasn't something that ended. It was something that settled, permanent, controlled, and undeniably mine.